What is up, guys? April 26th. I want to talk about the illusion of progress and why you're busy but still broke. A lot of people work very, very hard, but they're not making a lot of money. And so I think we often associate the term busyness with, growth and progress. But let's talk about the idea of busyness. Business as a word is often confused as like actually growing. So if like I'm very busy, it doesn't mean that I'm actually getting progress. It doesn't mean that I'm actually doing anything, which might sound really weird, but it's truth. And so, I meet a lot of people that like their calendar is full, they've got meetings, they're grinding, they feel like they're grinding and they're doing all the stuff, but their bank account it don't show that. And so if that's you, if you're in that situation, let's dive in a little bit. Let's talk about why. So first and foremost, like just because you're doing something does not mean that you're doing the right thing. And that's like the biggest thing right there. Sometimes the things that you're doing are not necessarily productive for you and what you're trying to do in life and where you're trying to go. Number two, being busy is not the same as being effective. Like if you're busy, it doesn't mean that you're actually making progress and that you're carving through the task at hand, even if you're focused on the right task. And third thing I'll say is most people kind of mistake like movement, just like general movement for momentum. If you're moving a lot, which the human body biologically looks at movement as a very positive thing and it can give you a dopamine response, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're growing in a logistical aspect. So, you need to understand that busyness is like almost like a drug. It makes you feel like you're doing something, but when you really look at life, if you're still broke, if you're still stuck, if you're frustrated, you're probably high off the drug of busyness, which is just what it is, and you probably don't have results to show for it. So let's go in a little deeper. Um, a lot of people like the illusion of making progress. Um, it's something that affects more people than you would think. It might be affecting you. It's affected me, and it's very, very dangerous. So many times you can be obsessed with checking tasks or things or doing things that are not necessarily driving results. So people feel like they're very busy and they're constantly on top of their shit and they're checking emails or organizing they're tweaking things or they're doing certain things, but they're not actually increasing their results. So like when people are open a business, for example, right? A lot of people open businesses and they're like, okay, we got to create a website, we got to create a logo, we got to do this, like we got to make sure the logo is perfect. Let's get it to the editor, let's review it. Like that's not actually making you money, bro. That's not making you any money. Just because you're so focused on getting the logo right, the logo doesn't even matter. What matters is your product, your service, and getting to customers. That's what's going to grow results. That's what's going to make you money. So sometimes people will spend time on a website, a logo, marketing, videos, organizing a script, and just not doing it with influencers, right? A lot of people hit me up like, how do I start a podcast? And blah blah. You spend so much time planning it. Just get a microphone and start talking. Get on your phone and just start talking on camera before you start a podcast. Get good at just creating content. And a lot of times people, what they'll do that's bad, they'll watch content, they'll digest stuff, books sometimes, like audiobooks. Like you don't need to be doing that much reading sometimes. You can if you're really good, you can chat GPT a book and get the major points. It's really good. Some people like, they work physical jobs like construction workers and like when I was a barback, I would grind on a shift and I would feel like I did a lot, but I may have not made that much money. Depends on how the tip out was and how much they tipped and everything like that. I would come home tired and I would feel productive, but it's like a lie. And so I would confuse the activity with actually like a financial reward or some level of impact on my life. The biggest thing you got to ask yourself is what's keeping you broke? Well, first off, it's probably a lack of clarity. You don't know your high income priorities. There's typically about like two to four, probably let's say three. You don't have any systems. You do everything by hand. You're just trying to do things by yourself. You're not like using, in a sense, AI systems, auto schedulers, recurring scheduling activities, integrations. You're not using stuff like that. You have no systems. You have an avoidance mindset. Okay, like you work on what you like doing, like you do what you like doing, but you don't actually do what's effective, which is not good. You're kind of emotional about your work. I think a lot of people are. You work to avoid the real growth. You really don't track your problem. There's the 80/20 rule. Let's talk about that very briefly, where 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. So you should probably have questions that you ask yourself and evaluate yourself on, like what are the three things that I do that directly grow my income? Okay, we'll just say three. What are the three things that build my reputation and my brand on a day-to-day basis? What are the three things that protect and grow my network? What are the three things that I can do today to get more money in my bank account? Like these tangible things. You got to ask yourself, it could be three, it could be four, it could be one. What is a one thing I could do? Whatever it may be. I like to just have a couple options. And you should audit yourself. You should really audit and look back at to what you're doing. Like, how did you spend your time last week? Did you audit yourself today? Like, how effective were you? I have my calendar system and I have my meetings, and if I get my meeting done, I give myself a one out of whatever meetings I have. So some days I'll have like 11 things that I'm doing, like wake up, work out, you know, write in my journal, cook some food, cook some good breakfast, do certain errand, um, do an agency call, do some stuff for the financial firm, send off a certain amount of emails, get certain contracting done, so on and so forth. And I might have like 20 things by the end of the day, and I might have gotten to like 15 of them. So I'll calculate my daily consistency, and I'll try to set it up to where, like, if I got a 75%, it doesn't necessarily always mean that I'm shit. It may mean that I'm just stacking myself up with too much work. I'm not being efficient. So there's a lot of things that you could do. You need to audit yourself. And you got to ask yourself also, what's the thing that I did that allowed me to grow the most? And what's the thing that I did that kept me back the most? Ask these questions. These are really important. And also ask yourself what are your low income habits? What are the things that you do all the time that are low income habits that prevent you from growing? I would recommend if you're struggling with, making money, and you feel like you're doing a lot, but you're not getting results, start with your hardest thing in the morning. Um, Definitely time block your activities. I don't know why people don't do this. So, like, have a certain set amount of time when you start a meeting. Say, hey, look, this is the purpose of this meeting and why I set up this call. I have about 15 minutes. I do have a hard stop here, so we go a little bit over time. I don't have the option to do that, so I have a hard stop. That's a priority. Means I can't go any further. And then, I have about 15 minutes, means that like I have 15 minutes, but I really have like 20, 25. So I start the calls off a lot like that, but I time block my activities. I say no to a lot of things that are not going to grow me, and I delegate them. So I have assistants, I have people that work with me, and it's not that they're necessarily like low level tasks. They're low priority tasks, I should say, to me. They may be very complex and intricate. Like cleaning my place is a very important task for me. It's very intricate. It's not simple. But for me, it's a low priority one because my time could be spent doing better things. Track your outcomes, track your tangible outcomes, not your time. Stop tracking what you do hourly, track what you do on a production basis. I think this is the biggest mind shift. And this is why I love commission-based work. I love commission-based work because we're tracking outcomes. We're not tracking time. Review your week probably on a Sunday. It'd be good. What allowed you to grow? What didn't? You can review twice, but it may be a little bit overkill. You can do a quick review, but try to hit it once a week. And you just understand that being busy is good, being busy, if it's productive, it can be good, but at the same time, you want to be a builder. You don't want to be just busy, okay? Busy people are people that fade away in life. I'm a busy person. Sometimes I fade away, and it's not always good, but I'm also a builder. Builders are people that are unforgettable. When you build something, when you're an architect, you have your name engraved in society forever. So builders are unforgettable. So understand that you don't get paid to stay active. You get paid in life by any job, by any organization, typically to create outcomes and results. And if you're not creating that outcome and result, you will not get paid. And progress is also, understand this, progress is not about how fast you're moving. Um, it's about like how aggressive you are. There has to be some level of like progression, and that's what progress, there has to be some level of like, I'm getting this done at a certain rate, at a certain pace. Life is really going to change for you when you start treating every second of your day as like money, like you treat your time like almost like an investor, and you look at an hour as something very valuable, and you have to make that hour count for you to bring you money back and bring you more free time. So with that being said, I would definitely audit yourself. I would definitely challenge yourself to look at everything that you do for like 7 days a month. Look at the calls you made, look at the meetings you had, look at what's created you the most money and what's led to the highest level of ROI and outcome. Look at the values you've created in terms of content, your sales, your strategy, and everything that you do. And understand that, being busy does not mean that you're making a lot of money. People that are very hardworking, that work all the time, don't necessarily run society. And that's a fact. So, understand that being busy is not going to always allow you to win. So, appreciate you guys. Love you guys. We'll make more videos like this and then we'll talk more. Okay.